Hello everyone, today's video is all about Freeports. Freeports, what are they? What are the incentives of being in a free port, doing business in one? We used to have free ports in the UK between the mid-80s and 2012. Then, for various reasons, we got rid of them, largely tied to the EU. But now that we are post-Brexit, free ports are making a comeback. And the Chancellor announced new ones that come in from now that bid for the status for being a free port, and the top 8 were granted Freeport status, which were the East Midlands Airport, Felixstowe and Harwich, Humber region, Liverpool City region, Plymouth, Solent, Thames and Teesside. And they should begin operations as a Freeport in each of those locations later on this year. So what are they? Well, Freeports are usually around shipping ports or airports, and basically it's from a tariffs and customs point of view, any goods that arrive into Freeports are not subject to tariffs straight away. Only when the goods are then released for distribution within the UK are tariffs paid. So normally, when goods come in to a non-free port, you'd pay the tariffs up front. But on the free port, no tariffs when the goods come in, but it's only when the goods then move into the UK you pay tariffs. So if the goods come in and then go straight back out again, then there's no tariffs. Now, that arrangement in itself has been around for years. That's basically what a bonded warehouse does. So there has to be more to it than that. So let's explore some of the other rules around free ports. Well, actually, what if you just imported the components to something? You see, this is all about creating innovation hubs for enterprises. So if you imported the components as part of a manufacturing process, but actually did the manufacturing in the free ports. So the businesses were set up in the free ports to do the manufacturing of the components. Then those finished goods were sold within the UK. There's no tariffs on that. So that's what the government is aiming for here. So that's one of the incentives of being a free port, that there's no tariffs if you are finishing off the production process. Now, when I looked at this, I thought these free ports, they're not surely they're not huge areas. When you look at it, you think of in your head about a port, but actually, in terms of the geographical spread of these can be up to 27 miles wide in terms of the size of these free ports. So yes, you can fit a lot of businesses, a lot of new businesses into these sites. So the whole aim, as well, is to regenerate certain areas of the UK, and that's why the government is keen to promote them, not only for the fact that they think that they can regenerate certain areas, but also to encourage more trade and commerce now that we are out of the EU, and we can actually designate our own free ports, whereas before, with the linkage to state aid and all the EU policies, were prohibited from doing so. But now we can actually decide our own free port status, and then the EU has free ports as well. There's about 80 dotted all over the EU. So it's not a new thing, but it's certainly a good thing in many respects, and not least the tax incentives. So let's talk about the tax incentives. Now, we talked about the customs tariffs and the fact that you can turn components into finished goods and pay no tariffs on those. But to encourage businesses to set up and to do trade in one of these free ports, there are specific tax breaks that were announced. And the first one is enhanced capital allowances. So this is tax relief for businesses that are investing in plant and machinery. Now, what they've said is that you can have 100% allowance, 100% deduction against profits for the 5 years to, to 30th of September 2026. So how does this compare to the regular capital allowances regime? Well, you recall last week in the budget, he announced a so-called super deduction, whereby businesses can get 130% relief for the next 2 years. But that stops after 2 years. And then we go back to the existing rules, which was 100% deduction, but it was capped at a certain amount. The cap keeps changing year on year. It's like a tool that every chancellor has to, bring in various revenues, and that cap moves up and down. It's quite generous right now. It's £1 million, but that could go right down to, just a few hundred or a few tens of thousands. However, in the Freeports, there is no cap for those 5 years. So it encourages businesses to invest in plant and machinery, knowing, and for that 5-year period, knowing that everything that they spend will be tax deductible. So that's the first thing, enhanced capital allowances. The second thing is structural buildings allowances. Now, normally when you buy a commercial building for business use, there is modest tax relief on the depreciation of that asset over time. Specifically, the rules say you can claim 3% of the cost every year. So after 33 years, you'll get full tax relief for the cost of buying a new commercial building, or indeed renovating commercial premises. So specific to these Freeports, though, they've said we're going to make that better. We're going to make that structural buildings allowance, as it's called, the SBA, we're going to give you 10% straight line, which means every year 10% of the cost of developing, renovating, or buying the new commercial building will be written off against tax, which means you'll get full relief after 10 years. If you were buying the same building just outside the Freeport, it'll take you 33 years to get the full tax relief. So that's an incentive for businesses to, to buy commercial units in these Freeports. The third tax break that they've announced, reduced national insurance for new staff. So you set up a business in a Freeport and you hire new staff, you'll have a lower employer's NI bill. Always a good thing. And then the fourth tax incentive, it's not a tax per se, but it's a cost of the business. Business rates relief. So announcement of business rates relief for those who set up in Freeports. So they are the main benefits. The headline rate obviously being the reduced tariffs, and then the things that you can do in terms of finishing off the processing to then have it tariff free when the goods move within the UK. And then of course these tax incentives to get businesses in there, the capital allowances, the enhanced capital allowances, the structural buildings allowances, reduced rates and reduced national insurance bill. So that's just an overview of what Freeports are, what was the announcements in the budget recently, and the tax breaks thereon. If you like this video, please do subscribe there, and I will see you soon.